And in yet another example of how anti-Semitism is being injected into American educational institutions, news out of Washington state where Democratic state lawmakers have slipped a pro-Hamas amendment into a bill that is designed to ensure that school students learn about the Holocaust. Now, seems unbelievable to me, but to tell me all about it, tell us all about it, is New York Post columnist Karol Markowicz. Karol, thank you so much for coming on the U.S. Report this week. Now, tell us about this amendment. What is going on here, and why can't the Holocaust just be taught without bringing Hamas into it?
Well, I don't know if you guys watched the Super Bowl in Australia, but we just had the Super Bowl, and there was an ad during that time. It's a very popular time to have advertisements, and the ad was a $7 million ad against anti-Semitism. But included in that ad was all hate, all hate. And there was a piece of the ad where there was an anti-Muslim comment, etc. It just seems like the left is in general, not just the left, maybe other branches of American life as well, uncomfortable with pointing out Jew hatred and Jew hatred alone. And so what these Washington lawmakers are doing is somewhat clever, because what they're saying is we're going to include other nonsense in this Holocaust bill. And then when you oppose it, should you oppose it, you will be deemed hateful yourself, because how dare you oppose a Holocaust bill? So that's where we are in America. It's actually quite sad.
That's quite depressing. But let's move on to something possibly a little lighter, I suppose. Do you remember Rachel Dolezal? She was the former leader of the NAACP who resigned infamously after it turned out that she had only been pretending to be black. Now, she's been in the headlines this week after it was revealed that she changed her name and became a school teacher in Arizona. And now it turns out that she's lost her job there because it turned out she had an OnlyFans account linked to her public social media accounts. Walk us through this one here. Should we feel sorry for Rachel Dolezal? Should she be allowed to start a new life, or was going out and posting, explicit pictures on her public social media while a teacher just too much?
Well, the thing is, this story is a big story because it's Rachel Dolezal, but it's actually a news story all the time when teachers get fired for OnlyFans. And I have to tell you, it happens a lot more than you would think, and a lot more than I would want. It is clearly a problem. I think teachers making extra money on the side doing OnlyFans is going to continue to be an issue because parents just don't like their kids' teachers being exposed on the internet. But sure, is it unfair to Rachel Dolezal that her past lies have made her extra famous in this case? Yes, maybe it's a little bit unfair. But those are the breaks. And again, even if she was a regular teacher who we've never heard of ever, it still would have been a news story. Maybe not quite as big a news story, but nevertheless.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's sort of that kind of bringing, the profession or the school or whatever into disrepute here issue. But I want to talk, too, about this other crazy thing, and I don't want to use the word insurrection, but it looks awfully like an insurrection to me. LGBTQ activists occupied the Iowa State Capitol simply because there was going to be a new bill that would classify gender based on biology. Have a look at this. They've occupied the State House there. We're seeing this more and more, and yet it doesn't seem like there's a lot of pushback against these takeovers of the institutions of democracy when they come from the left.
That's absolutely right. We are seeing this more and more. We had anti-gun activists take over the State House in Tennessee. This kind of thing just keeps happening, and they get a total pass on it. It's not just these incidents, which I think, listen, I don't know why it's not an insurrection. They're in the government building. They're not supposed to be. They're threatening. They're yelling. You really don't know what they're going to do. But it's happening on a lot of different levels where we're seeing just no repercussions for anything. I think that's what's really scary right now in America, is that we keep seeing kind of crazy things happening, like activists blocking traffic, activists destroying paintings, or getting into yesterday, there were activists in the Capitol building protesting climate change, and then they destroyed the case that a old document was inside the Capitol building. And none of this gets the kind of reaction that we would hope it should get. We would like to see these people arrested. We'd like to see them convicted. We'd like to send a message to other people that we don't live in this chaotic society where this kind of thing is okay. But because they're coming from the left, they're getting such a pass from anybody who would be in the position to punish them. Obviously, if they all came in wearing MAGA hats, that would be a completely different story. But because they're not, we're really never hearing any repercussions for them at all.
And, I think it's that sort of two-tiered way of looking at things that's so destructive. But there's sort of a lighter side to this, too. Well, not really lighter, but it's interesting because there's been studies. We had Valentine's Day this week. And apparently for Gen Z women, or Gen Z, a man who identifies as a MAGA Republican is apparently a huge red flag, with 76% of those Gen Z ladies admitting they would absolutely not go near a guy with those politics. Now, how is this going to wind up affecting this generation getting together, reproducing, when you've also got Gen Z men trending more conservative? What's your take on all of this?
Well, the women are either going to have to adjust to people who don't share their politics, or they're going to be alone. And that's really the story here. I think people's politics change when they get together with people. I would say that my husband is a recovering liberal, believe it or not. When we got together, he was way to my left. And now I would say in some ways he's to my right. Things change. And the fact that these women can't see a future where they can be with somebody who doesn't share their politics is unfortunate for them. In that same story you link, Stephen Green tells a story of his Republican grandmother marrying his Democrat grandfather and politically converting him. So, ladies, you can change him.
Well, there you go. There's some projects out there for people. Anyway, Karol Markowicz, thank you so much for your time.